we all know the cost and the pain of having an underperformer on your team. When you have an underperformer on your team, it doesn't just kill the company, it kills the company culture. There is a way to do it that actually removes excuses, it creates clarity, and it protects the culture of your company. I've run a dozen of these conversations over multiple teams, and this exact system, alhamdulillah, from Allah's fadl, has saved me tens of thousands of dollars and turned poor performers into team members, or it's been able to remove them quickly if they couldn't improve. This is actually the framework I give my operations manager, all the people in my team who are in management positions, to also use when it comes to dealing with underperforming staff. Now, I can't tell you how many times I'd be dealing with a staff member and I'm trying to correct his lack of performance and he just wiggles his way out. Trust me, this will also prevent that. So in the next few minutes, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, I'm gonna walk you through what we refer to as the knife to neck framework, step by step, inshallah. Click into the description, by the way, and you get access to this whole framework and this whole doc, and you'll see we have an example as to how I normally present this doc on the screen. It's nice and easy. I tell my clients, because I've had multiple clients, one of my major clients, he had an issue just being direct with his team. I told him, listen, just prepare step by step. Once you get on the call, just share your screen, and then it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here's the first thing. Where does the name knife to neck come from? Okay, this is the knife to neck is a direct system for you to actually address underperformance in your team. It ensures, while removing all excuses, that at the same time you're presenting the facts clearly and you're making consequences unavoidable, right? If I'm to give you guys an understanding of the name, if the knife is at somebody's neck, there's no room for excuses. There's no room for escape. There's no room for pretending. The knife is at your neck. The truth becomes exposed and a decision must be made. Does that make sense? Are you going to cut the head off or are you going to leave it? All right. And by the way, this isn't literal. Okay. So the point of the knife to neck framework is actually to remove excuses while at the same time making sure you're being fair. And this is why I have a set of key rules if you want this meeting to be effective that you're going to have to take in. So number one is never ever go into these meetings unprepared. That's the worst thing a lot of us do. We have these conversations and we're not prepared. We haven't prepared the data to prove that our staff members or our team members are underperforming. Trust me, if that's the case, they will find a way to wiggle their way out. Not preparing for a meeting like this almost guarantees failure. Always make sure you collect hard evidence. This means that I will spend some time before the meeting actually collecting, evidence, collecting their KPIs, looking at their numbers, observing their behaviors, dates, maybe missed reports, task completion rates, Slack or ClickUp timestamps showing that maybe they're not clocking in or they're not performing. Whatever it is, I will go and get all of that data and I will present it on a clear doc. Okay. Number two, you want to define success lines clearly. So the green zone is where they are performing as expected. The yellow zone is early warning and intervention needed. And the red zone is actually when things become unacceptable and it triggers a consequence. You need to be able to define these lines clearly for your team. Now, the key thing and the key aspect of the KTN framework as well is number three. I want you to ask yourself, have you actually provided the tools, the SOPs and the expectations in order for this person to succeed? Now, a lot of the times founders are about to, get on the call and, put the knife right to the neck of the underperforming staff member. But after they check point number three, they realize, there's no point in me getting on that call. And this is why I love the KTN framework. It actually asks you and it makes you accountable as well as the founder, as the leader of the company. Have you given this person the ability to succeed? Before putting the knife to the neck, have you given them the opportunity? Have you given them all the tools that they need in order to be able to thrive and achieve success? Have you clarified as to what success actually is within the role? Because you can't put the knife at somebody's neck for not achieving something if you didn't tell him, if you didn't show him what clear success looked like within that thing. Otherwise, what standards is he playing against? So if you failed here, then you have to own your part of the problem and fix it first. Don't hop on the call with the staff member. Don't hop on the call with the underperforming team member. Fix the problem first. Enable them first. Now, number four is detach emotion, guys. This is going to be absolutely essential. You do not want to go into these calls angry, sarcastic, or passive aggressive. Be a professional. Just go on the call. Remove all emotions. We're here to deal with the problem. An amazing concept I loved, in a book I read. It said it's you and them versus the problem, not you versus them. And this is something I always like to make clear. When you're dealing with an underperforming staff member, you want to be solution oriented. You want to be focused on actually either I need to remove this person from the company because it's not going to work, or I need to get this person up to standard and up to scratch. It should not be a mentality of I'm going there to attack the person, or the person should not feel like it's you versus them. Like I said, never go into these meetings without preparation. It's a recipe for disaster, okay? Gather the numbers, define the standards, and check enablement. And by the way, if you follow the KTN framework, which I'm about to show you, then you won't have that issue. Number 2, guys, here's something that's so important and where a lot of founders butcher it. As soon as you get on the call, you start doing small talk. Hey, how's your day? How's everything going? And keda. You want to avoid as much small talk as possible. Be direct, professional. So I'll let them know already. I will literally title the call XYZ performance review call or whatever. Okay, so Salaam Alaikum, thanks for joining. Let's look at your performance together so we can actually get clarity on what's happening straight away. Now, we don't want to say anything. I don't make any statements. The first thing I want to do is present the stats. Why? Because men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Okay? Show the exact data on the screen. Avoid vague accusations. Okay, for example, your target was 50 outreaches per day, right? You averaged 23. Here's the report log also showing that you missed 3 submissions. Okay? Now, why do I love this? Because he can't argue with the numbers. Imagine I said, look, I haven't been liking your performance. I don't think you've been bringing a great attitude to the team. I don't think you're getting the work done. He could be like, no, I am doing what I'm supposed to be, right? Or I disagree with you. I don't see how I'm not underperforming. When you haven't shown the clear metrics that he's supposed to meet, the clear KPI, then it's very difficult to put the knife to his neck. And when you present the stats, there's no escaping. Guess what? The knife is at his neck. There's no escaping. You have proved that he's not performing right now, right? And number 4, guys, is remove excuses with questions. One of the most powerful things I love to do is ask questions rather than make statements on calls like this, right? So I asked them, for example, do you feel this performance is acceptable, right? And if you were CEO, if you were in my position, would you allow this? And it actually gets them to start thinking, rather than looking at things from their eyes, they're looking at things from, your eyes, right? From other perspective as well. And is there anything from our side? And why do we ask this? Because again, guys, we want to be fair, okay? It's not just about putting the knife to the neck. We want to be fair. If there's a way we can give them a chance and improve their performance, of course, by all means, we would love for that. So is there anything, and I always like to ask this question, is there anything from our side, maybe tools or clarity or training that stops you from performing better? Once they agree that they have what they need, excuses are gone. The excuses are absolutely gone. Okay, now guys, as well, you want to re-clarify success. Now, this is if you make the decision to continue with them, you want to re-clarify what success is. Okay, success in your role means you need to submit your daily report by 9 p.m. latest, right? You need to reach this metric. You need to make sure that these tasks are closed daily. Do you understand and agree? Now, guys, one of the things that is so important that you want to do on these calls is always get the buy-in, okay? Do not proceed to the next stage from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 unless you've got the buy-in. A lot of the times I see founders, they're just like point after point after point, and the person's like, no, I completely disagree, or going back to point 2. It's like, no, give them a chance at every stage. Be like, is that clear? Does that make sense? Do you understand? Everything cool? Perfect. Why? I always want to get the buy-in, because buy-in locks accountability. I always want a yes, not okay. I don't do okays. It's yes or no. Do you understand? Yes. Do you understand? No. If you don't understand, we're going to repeat it and break it down to you. If you understand, perfect. That means we shouldn't have any problems going forward. All right. Now, the knife to neck statement is the last part. Okay. This is where the key part comes in. Okay. I always like to just lay down the consequence without some emotion. Okay. And I like to explain that, look, when you mess up and when you are underperforming, the whole team suffers as a lack of result, and you're actually killing the company culture. Because if I allow one bad team member to underperform without consequences, well, what do the high performers think? Well, this person gets away with it. So, that becomes the culture of the company. One bad tomato spoils the bunch, right? So if these standards aren't met consistently, I'll have no choice but to replace you with someone who can. Do you understand? Perfect. Okay, and guys, I'm not saying you always have to follow that question. Another question you could have is, you do understand that I will deduct you 5% if this isn't completed on time. The point is, you're fair, firm and non-negotiable, and you're getting the buy-in. The CEO question, I always love this question, guys. Ask the killer question. If you were in my position as a CEO and someone was performing at this level, what would you do? It forces self-awareness and removes all room for wiggle room. Now, guys, document the meeting. This is super important. Number 8, document the meeting. Schedule maybe another call to follow up. It doesn't have to be weekly or daily, etc. Or you can hand this over to another staff member of your team once you had their call. Schedule a follow-up check-in, making sure everything is good. That's going to be super important. Making sure you documented the meeting. Like we had this discussion, by the way. We agree X, Y, Z. And I always get them to respond and say, yes, we agreed. I love that accountability. And I guess what? I also make sure that conversations like this are either recorded or we have some written evidence. Why? Because it's like, I don't remember her say, she say, whatever. Anyway, we use Fathom for a lot of our Zoom calls, etc. and our meetings, so it's always recorded, right? Now, guys, if performance improves, one thing you want to do is the same way you acknowledge their poor performance, you want to also acknowledge their what? Their good performance. When they perform well, you want to acknowledge something like this. Okay, so if performance improves, acknowledge it. Tell them, look, I'm glad we had that conversation and I'm glad we're seeing improvements. If no change occurs, then you're going to have to enforce some consequences. And you have to enforce consequences, right? Why? Because again, if you didn't enforce consequences, what happens? It starts to become the culture of the company. We can do whatever we like and there's no consequence for it. Okay, so guys, what are the core principles? Like I said, be fair, right? As Muslims, of course, adil is something that's very important, to be just. We're going to stand in front of Allah and we're going to have to answer for how we treated our team and staff, etc. So always be fair. Always enable people before holding them accountable. Our goal is to get our staff to perform, not just to put the knife at their neck. I want to clarify that. Again, numbers over opinions. Don't come on call saying, I feel, or I think, or bring the numbers. Okay, even if it's something to do with like the behavior or the aura, bring situations, bring scenarios, because it might not be data. It could just be somebody's attitude. Maybe it's how they're typing messages. And I've had this a lot of times with team members where I would bring a message and I'll be like, do you think it was appropriate to speak like this? Do you think it was appropriate to communicate like this? Right? Numbers over opinions, and directness is a mercy. Guys, I know a lot of you struggle to be direct, and this is exactly why we made the framework. Okay, it's actually a stage for you to be like 1, 2, 3, 4. It makes it much more easier. So guys, listen, I hope that made all the sense in the world. Okay, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. That is what we refer to as the knife to neck framework, a framework we made and developed for our clients so they can deal with underperforming staff fairly and firmly. In that case, guys, if you want access, like I said, to this doc, click the link in the description and you get access to the whole framework, and you can see an example of how I've used this doc with the past with a team member. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you're a Muslim entrepreneur doing over 100K a month, you cannot scale using the same system that got you to where you are now. You need to upgrade yourself as a founder. This is the exact same thing we've done for all our clients, and they've been able to 3 all the way to 10x in revenue. So if you would like us to do the same thing for you, then click the link in the description down below now.